To our program. On the line with us is conservative activist and noted nicotine addict Julio Rivera, editorial director of Reactionary Times, columnist with Newsmax, right-wing news and politichicks. Reactionarytimes.com is the website, and you can tweet him at, oh yeah, it's Julio. Julio, welcome back to the program.
Well, how are you today, Tom? I'm happy to be here.
I am well, and I'm glad to know that you are happy. Arthur Jones has been, it looks like he's going to be the nominee, and now this is admittedly a largely Democratic district, so probably most mainstream Republicans aren't all that interested in, you know, jumping into the race, spending money on the race or whatever. But Arthur Jones is going to be the Republican nominee for a part of Chicago and, you know, and Illinois, representing parts of Chicago and nearby suburbs. He is an outspoken Holocaust denier. He is an activist anti-Semite. He is a proud white supremacist. On his website for his latest congressional run, there's a section titled The Holocaust Racket, where he calls the Holocaust, quote, the biggest, blackest lie in history. And, you know, what is it about the Republican Party? I would start out by saying, the Democratic Party, if somebody came to the Democratic Party and said, I am a Maoist and a communist, they would have no chance of being in a Democratic, you know,
Really?
Well, you have an example of one? What's with the Republican Party that attracts these people?
Look no further at how far we've shifted left. And listen, you can't do that with this guy. We're not claiming this guy. The Republican Party, I'm sure in Illinois, wants nothing to do with this race, and that's the reason why he's running basically unopposed. You know, if you want to go ahead and try to stick this guy on us ideologically, it's a lie anyway, because, listen, Trump and the Republicans have been more pro-Israel than Obama and the Democrats in trying to, you know, usurp the re-election of Benjamin Netanyahu when he was there. You know, and just a lot of things that the Democrat Party has done over the years.
There's no such thing as a Democrat Party, Julio.
The Republican Party.
Julio, there's no such thing as a Democrat Party. It's the Democratic Party. You know, I know Joe McCarthy put the word out back in the 50s.
Party, no.
I know Joe McCarthy put the word out back in the 50s that when you refer to the Democratic Party named by Thomas Jefferson, that you should refer to it as the Democrat Party with an emphasis on the rat. That was his quote. And you're carrying on a fine tradition, but it's not going to happen on this program. So why do you think that Arthur Jones didn't declare himself a Democrat?
Well, because he's probably not someone who can actually win, and he can't win as a Republican either. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's leftist elements that are funding this just to continue to perpetuate this false narrative that Republicans are somehow the racist party. The ideology switch, when there was only one legislator, Strom Thurmond, who ever switched parties. The Democrats were filibustering the Civil Rights Act for about 2 months as recent as the 1960s. You remember this well, Tom.
Yeah, you're right.
If I'm not mistaken, weren't you a Barry Goldwater supporter at this time as a young boy?
When I was 13 years old, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I think you had it figured out a little better then.
Well, at the time, and I'll say this right up front, I had no idea that Barry Goldwater, and I'm still skeptical, was a racist. I know he opposed the civil rights legislation. He felt that that should be at the state level, and I think that that was a political mistake. But I don't think he was ideologically a racist. But you know, I'm not here to defend Barry Goldwater. You know, what I'm confused by. Well, let me just get a thought out, if you would, Julio. What I'm confused by is how Donald Trump can say that the guys who are marching in Charlottesville, who are saying, "You will not replace me, Jews will not replace me," were really fine people, and won't walk back that statement.
No, you're taking that completely out of context. Michael Signer.
Just a simple question, Julio. Just a simple question. Which party has white nationalists, white supremacists, and neo-Nazis supporting their nominee, their president? Which party has that? Well, it looks to me like it's the billionaire-owned Republican Party.
Jim Crow laws. Which party fought for slavery? Which party created the Ku Klux Klan during Reconstruction to terrorize blacks? It certainly wasn't the Republicans.
And it wasn't today's Democratic Party either. It wasn't today's Democratic Party either, and you can't win that argument by going back 150 years.
Ideological switching. No.
Sure, there's been a lot of ideological switching in both parties. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt was a progressive and a Republican. Can you name one progressive Republican?
Well, I can't name a good one, but let me tell you something. What you're trying to get at, and the whole theme of this segment, and I understand what I was walking into right when I walked into it, you're trying to paint the Republican Party as the party of neo-Nazism and white supremacy.
That's correct.
And it's not. They're a fringe element, and I wouldn't be shocked. These David Dukes and all these other Daily
David Duke is tweeting admiration of Trump.
The Trump movement, it's a lie. It has nothing to do with that. People like me and disenfranchised Americans voted for Trump and the Republican Party and continue to do so.
I don't understand why anybody. Well, I understand why people would vote for Trump. He made a lot of promises, you know. He said that he was going to cut average people's taxes and that the super rich would pay more. That was a lie. He promised to close special interest loopholes. He said, and I quote, "Special interest loopholes have been so good for Wall Street investors but unfair to American workers, especially the notorious carried interest."
Deep into that tax bill, multinationals
it was a lie.
That have foreign income are having a harder time under this. So no, you're lying. That's
no, actually, there's a provision in the
Tax Cut Act.
There is a provision in the billionaire-owned Republican tax bill that actually encourages companies to send their jobs overseas, that gives them more of a tax break. They're now paying a 21%.
And the Trump economy has been about recovering jobs.
Not true. He also told you he'd repeal Obamacare and replace it with something beautiful. Remember that? He was going to make sure that all Americans were covered.
And I wrote a column for Newsmax about this last week. You can't just slap something together and, you know, try to pass it off on the American people and get it past the Freedom Caucus. That was a mistake by the early administration because of the establishment element, people like Reince Priebus that were in the president's ear at that time.
Okay, so his lie was just a mistake. Okay, we got that. He told her that he was going to invest $1 trillion in our nation's crumbling infrastructure. The plan that I see is that he's going to put $20 billion a year for 10 years, and he expects private industry to put you know, like $100 billion a year for 10 years, and for that $100 billion, the private industry is going to get a $200 billion return on investment by charging you and me tolls for roads and bridges, which is going to, you know, jack their profits. Yeah, I get that.
Listen, I'd rather drive on a privately owned road that's not going to destroy, you know, the front end of my car, to be quite honest with you. And we should have more privatization, to be honest with you. It's just like the Puerto Rico issue. You can't just keep throwing money at it, taxpayer money at it, and letting it get corrupted. You need private industry and oversight from D.C. to fix these issues.
And every time you privatize a government function, ultimately it's going to cost as much as 70%. This is government, U.S. government official figures out of the Pentagon. 70% more than when the government does it itself.
To come up with the best price and the best service.
He told you
he's do that than let some legislators
Trump said he was
that are being funded by special interests decide where the money goes.
Trump said he was going to, quote, bring down drug prices by making deals with drug companies. Now he says, the White House officially says that promise is inoperative. He told you he was going to, quote, stop foreign lobbyists from raising money for American elections. Apparently you bought that, right?
If they work in the administration, from being foreign lobbyists for 5 years after they leave the administration. So he's taking the steps he can take.
No, that is absolutely not true at all. He could easily ban foreign lobbyists from operating or from raising money for American elections. He hasn't.
To be a
he also said
type of authoritarian president and just objectively say there'll be no more foreign lobbying.
He also said, "I'm not
arguing about how it's a global economy. So, how would that benefit your cause?"
Now, we know the billionaire Trump scam here. Billionaire Trump also said, "I'm not going to cut Social Security like every other Republican up on this stage, and I'm not going to cut Medicare or Medicaid." And apparently, you bought that lie from billionaire Trump.
Well, no, he hasn't cut anything. If you're talking about a cut,
$259 million cut to Social Security in the budget.
Maybe the percentage doesn't have to go up as quickly. Listen, these are a lot of things that are on the table that haven't even been decided yet. You're being completely speculative. And again, just like everybody else in the liberal or mainstream media, just bashing the bashing the administration needlessly.
Well, I wouldn't say needlessly, but yes, I am. I will own that. Julio Rivera, editorial director with Reactionary Times, reactionarytimes.com. You can tweet him at Oh Yeah, it's Julio, Y-E-A-H. Oh Yeah, it's Julio. Julio, thanks for dropping by.
Not a problem. Have a good one.
You too.